هادئة جدا.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Lebanese, and these are today's top stories. Hezbollah says Takfiri groups are responsible for the attack that killed its top military commander, Mustafa Badreddin, in Damascus. Preparations are underway for Mount Lebanon's municipal polls a day ahead of the second round of elections in the country. And FIFA breaks new ground by appointing a Senegalese UN official as its first female and first non-European Secretary General. Hezbollah says Takfiri groups are responsible for the attack that killed its top military commander, Mustafa Badreddin, in Damascus. The Hezbollah-run Al-Manar television reported the latest developments in the news flash a day after the group announced he had been killed. Manar added that artillery shelling at a Hezbollah base near the Damascus airport was the cause of his death. A funeral procession was held for the slain commander in the southern suburbs of Beirut yesterday, where Hezbollah vowed to keep fighting Israel and Syria-based Takfiri militant factions. The assassination of Badreddin came as a major blow to the Iranian-backed group that has been heavily involved in the 5-year-old war in Syria by supporting President Bashar al-Assad's forces. Badreddin was on the U.S. terror list and had been one of 5 Hezbollah members indicted by UN-backed special court in the 2005 assassination of late Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri. Preparations are underway for Mount Lebanon's municipal polls a day ahead of the second round of elections in the country, with registered residents in the Mount Lebanon region poised to cast their votes on Sunday. Several polling stations began receiving ballot boxes and the required stationery items, with tight security being enforced at the stations. Elections in Mount Lebanon comes a week after the first round of generally peaceful municipal elections was held in Beirut, the Bekaa and Baalbek Hermel district, the first democratic polls to be staged since 2010. Some key towns are prepared to see fiercely contested battles for the control of local councils. Competition is heating up mostly in the towns of Jounieh, Sin el-Fil, and the southern Beirut suburbs of Ghbeiri and Hadas. As polling day inches closer, the developing Sidon forward list led by the incumbent mayor of Sidon, Mohammed Saudi, was announced with a promise to implement more vital development projects for the city. Saudi, who is backed by the Future Movement, Al-Jama al-Islamiyya, and former mayor Abdulrahman Bizri, is facing off against 2 rival lists as he seeks a second term. The mayor hopes to head the 21-member municipal council, whose candidates were announced at a news conference held at the Psat company in Sinik, south of Sidon. During the news conference, Saudi went over his electoral program, which comprises 36 vital projects. Municipal elections in Sidon are scheduled for May 22nd. Coming up next, an American family will split the $429.6 million Powerball jackpot. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the English newscast. At least 5 people as ISIS infiltrated a town in Iraq's Anbar province with several fighters wearing suicide belts. The extremists attackers entered Amriyat al-Fallujah, a government-held town 50 kilometers southwest of Baghdad, and a key base for any operation against the ISIS-controlled city of Fallujah further north. A military source said 8 suicide bombers snuck into the city, and security forces succeeded to repel the attack by killing 5 of them. The other 3 blew themselves up, which led to the killing of 3 civilians and 2 policemen. A leader of the tribal forces assisting federal forces in Anbar confirmed the death toll and said the situation had been brought back under control. Turkey says talks with the European Union on a deal providing visa-free travel in return for stopping a flow of refugees into Europe has reached a deadlock. The comments by Turkey's EU Affairs Minister Volkan Bozkir follow talks with senior EU officials on ways to ending an impasse over part of the EU's deal with Turkey.
Has never been discussed, while all the other criteria was among experts, among politicians, every detail was discussed. private data collection, protection law, every element. We had exchanged drafts, explained in the parliament, we made changes, but this was kept without any touch until 3 days ago, before the Commission was publishing its report. And this is the Achilles point. Yesterday there was another suicide bomber attack. We lost European lives and Turkish citizen lives from suicide bombers. We lost more than 450 security officers, and we are operating in cities captured or where they had barricades and dishes and trenches. We're trying to bring back the normal human life there, and people are returning back. So under these circumstances, making a change in the anti-terror law politically is not possible. In any country who had faced this kind of a situation, it would have been impossible. Turkish law is not worse than many countries' similar laws, and the Codexer, the European Council of Europe's specific group which evaluates countries' anti-terror laws, etc., has always given positive evaluations about Turkey. That's why I asked the Council of Europe Secretary General to intervene, to help the Commission to understand that actually it is not a bad law. But the only way out is to discuss, explain, and find a way out. The Commission, I think, has now the responsibility first to open new discussions with Turkey and to rewrite what has been sent to the Parliament.
Opposition leader in the Dominican Republic's presidential election, Luis Abinader, has wrapped campaigning in the Caribbean nation. He faces an uphill battle for votes, with the incumbent government expected to clinch victory. Abinader, 48, is a businessman for the Modern Revolutionary Party who has never held elected office in the Dominican Republic. He is running on a campaign of increased social welfare, a rise in the national minimum wage, and a program to get tough on crime. Abinader belongs to a family dedicated primarily to tourism and the cement business. He also owns one of the country's private universities. He became his party's presidential candidate, beating Hipólito Mejía, former president from 2000 to 2004. Moving on to Africa, Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye, who has been under virtual house arrest since the presidential election in February, was charged with treason after being whisked out of the capital. Besigye disputed veteran President Yoweri Museveni's victory in the election. Since polling day, his house has been ringed by police, spiked barriers placed on the road to it, and visitors vetted. The government insists Museveni's victory was valid and says Besigye is trying to hold illegal protests. He was arrested in the capital, Kampala, on Wednesday after staging a ceremony at which he was mock sworn in as president and taken to Moroto, a town about 400 kilometers away. FIFA has broken new ground by appointing a Senegalese United Nations official as its first female and first non-European Secretary General. Friday's historic appointment of Fatma Samba Diouf Samoura as the number 2 at the World Football's governing body was made at the FIFA Congress in Mexico City. Samoura, 54, is currently based in Nigeria for the United Nations Development Program and has worked across Africa for the UN for the last 2 decades. FIFA's new president, Gianni Infantino, who was elected in February, has indicated recently that he would wait until summer to name his number 2, but she will now start at FIFA in June following the announcement.
I truly believe in gender equality, and I believe in embracing diversity. And I told you as well that I like to act with facts and not with words. And for this reason, but more importantly because from all the persons I met, it was the most competent person for me, I proposed to the Council, who accepted, to nominate as Secretary General Mrs. Fatma Samoura. She is Senegalese, she is 54 years old, she's working since 21 years in the United Nations, she's a great person, she's used to manage big organizations, big budgets, human resources, staff, finance, and she will bring a fresh wind to FIFA. Somebody from outside, not somebody from inside, not somebody from the past, but somebody new, somebody who can help us do the right thing in the future, because we have to be serious when we say we want to embrace diversity.
The mother and her 7 adult children will split the $429.6 million Powerball jackpot. The Smith family stepped forward to claim the prize during a news conference at the New Jersey Lottery headquarters in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. The sole winning ticket was bought in Trenton last week by Pearlie Smith, 70, who spent $6 for 2 tickets. The jackpot was the 9th highest U.S. lottery prize in history, according to officials. The family has decided to take the prize money in lump sum valued at $284 million. One of Smith's daughters, Valerie Arthur, spoke for the family and described learning about the big win. Let's listen.
Well, it was a big shock when we first learned that we were Powerball winners. It was a bigger shock when we learned that we were the only ticket holder. And it was like an affirmation from God, because we each have dreams that we want to fulfill in this life and do for our community and do for each other and our families. And it was like, well, we have been funded to do that. And that's what we're going to do, work in our communities and work in our family. I'm going to just use one example. My sister Catherine lives in a city in the state of New Jersey. And it has always been her dream to do a mentoring program for young women. And she has been doing that for the last 15 years, and it has been a struggle to get funding. And now she has her own funding where she can help these young ladies at risk and doesn't have to rely upon any grants or writing for special scholarships. She can go and change lives on her own accord. No, not really, no. I don't know. If it does change me, I think it would change me for the best, a better person, not so much in a negative way. But I know that you give, you receive, and you give. That's that is the rule of nature. You give and you receive. If you give a lot, you receive a lot. Obviously, we've given a lot, and we have received a lot.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. Hezbollah says Takfiri groups are responsible for the attack that killed its top military commander, Mustafa Badreddin, in Damascus. Preparations are underway for Mount Lebanon's municipal polls a day ahead of the second round of elections in the country. And FIFA breaks new ground by appointing a Senegalese UN official as its first female and first non-European Secretary General. Those are your top stories for this Saturday. I'm Linda Tanim, and I wish you all a very nice weekend.
هادئة جدا.